Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. It's another Calling Creatives with Nikki from Nikki's Scrapbooking Adventure. Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Melanie.
It's time again for another conversation. And this month, we are going to talk about scrapbooking challenges or special projects. And what immediately comes to your mind when you hear this topic?
So I think immediately of December Daily. There's this big industry out there started by Ali Edwards where you document every single day in December. And that is a lot of work. Have you ever done a December Daily, Melanie?
Oh, yeah. I have done, I think, probably about seven of them now. 7 or 8. And we'll talk about this a little bit more as we go through. I am not a purist when it comes to December Daily. So yeah, for sure we'll talk about that. But Ali Edwards is known for her special projects, right? Like you think of one little word, you think a day in the life, a week in the life. What else has she put out? I think those are the big ones. But
Hmm.
also what falls under those special projects, I've heard people do like gratitude in November, some sort of
Yes.
gratitude project. And then for those people that perhaps love the Halloween kind of season, they'll do like an October daily.
Hmm. Yes. So I've done October Daily and December Daily. I did October Daily last year. This year, don't have the energy, right? Like some years, you just have to kind of look at your life and be like, this is too much. It's
Right,
too much.
right,
And so I skipped this year and I'm okay with that. Like
right.
it was a lot of work last year. I did a lot of special pages in an 8x8 format. I really liked it, but no, nope,
not
nope.
not this year. So let's talk about some of the challenges regarding these types of projects, right? Which is, perhaps why people don't do them, right?
Hmm.
Is around things like it's just overwhelming, right? The
Yes.
idea of it. There's the idea of trying to make it quote unquote perfect to align with what other people are doing, the comparing and let's be real, December Daily, comparing yourself to Ali Edwards, like come on.
Oh yeah.
You're not gonna you're
I'm
not
like,
gonna you're not gonna line up, right?
yeah, and her style is so different than mine. She likes to use these big pictures in Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop personally. And then she does her journaling on the picture, and I'm like, that is too much.
Yeah. So I mean I can see why it is a bit struggling or why it is a bit difficult for people. I think for me, my biggest problem with a lot of these things is not having enough content, right? Like the idea of documenting December in a daily matter, I'm just like, my life just ain't that interesting. And then to do it a year after year after year, they just look, or my fear is that they're going to look and feel the same. And there's in some ways that's good, right? Because the whole point is that you can see how it does stay the same or how it does change over the years. But on the other hand, it just doesn't feel very, I don't know, it's not as fun, right? Because it's
Yeah.
repetitive.
And that's actually one of the reasons why December is one of my least favorite things to document, is because it is so repetitive. I try to do kind of the same things like go view lights, open presents, decorate the tree, that kind of thing every year. It doesn't really change. And so it just kind of gets repetitive. And do I want to spend an entire month busting my butt to get it done in 1 month for every single day? And so I
Right.
like your idea where you're like, I'm not really necessarily the traditional December
Yeah.
daily person, um, because like you said, it's repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to look at all my different projects that I've made over the years, I have I have tweaked it to make it work for me just because again, I just don't I have very limited people. Oh, this sounds pathetic, but I have very limited people in my life. Like it's just me, my boyfriend, a couple friends. None of my family's here, so unless I go home for Christmas, which I don't do very often, like it's just not there. So I've done things like one year I picked lines or titles from Christmas songs, and then I found a way to incorporate that into each day. So each day of the December daily is a title or a line from a song. I mean, it even ended up like one day I went around my apartment complex and took photos of all the doors with all the
Hmm.
wreaths on them. and I found a song that referenced that. So it's like I get to be a little bit more creative in that regards. Now, is it as authentic as someone who's actually documenting? Well, maybe not, but it is authentic to me in the sense that I need content, and this is what it is, right?
Yeah. Now, do you video your December daily projects? Because that's another aspect, right? Like, I videoed last year every day in October and showed people what I did in October. And then the year before that, I did that for December daily. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it sure is. And this is more of a an issue for people that are YouTubers, right?
Hmm.
As opposed to someone who's just doing the project on their own. So I have videotaped, I think once or twice maybe, the day to day, and I literally did it every day. And then I just realized it was just way too much work and way too much pressure. Forget it, that doesn't work. So then I tried doing, I think, weekly, where I would show the week's worth of projects. And
Hmm.
now often what happens is I don't even start working on the project until January or February. And it usually ends up in my finish it February series where I kind of show what ended up happening with the project. And I think that's more realistic for many people, right? Like, I don't think you should put the pressure on that it has to be done in the moment, at the moment. There's benefits, of course. Your journaling tends to be more robust and more authentic if you do that in the moment. But I don't think everything needs to be done every single day, and that it's
Hmm.
okay in January to February to complete the projects. I've heard people complain that they're done with Christmas by then and then they don't want to work on it,
Yeah,
you know.
I get
Um,
it.
so then you save it for October, November of the next year when you're starting to feel that holiday spirit as a lead up to the next year. But really, I think the big thing is if you scrapbook, not scrapbook, if you journal daily, that would probably be what I would recommend. Like, just jot a few notes down about the day so that if you do leave it for a year, you can come back and you can still have that kind of real time journaling, I guess.
Hmm. And talking about special projects, day in the life, we talked about this a couple videos ago, where I've been trying to do a day in the life for the last 3 years. I keep forgetting to take photos. So, same thing with December daily. I forget to take photos on some days. And it's
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do then?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think so. The key to these projects, at least this is how I've had to make it work in my mind, is not to be so literal, which is very difficult for me because I do tend to be that kind of literal person. So what I had to do is I'm like, it's okay to tell stories on different days than when they happened. Right. So
Mhm.
some days, especially the weekends, are busier for me than Monday through Friday. So it's okay to tell, maybe you had 3 stories on Saturday. It's okay to spread those stories over the rest of the week. They don't all have to be in the day of. So I kind of have learned to disassociate the story number with the story day. And it just becomes a collection of stories 1 through 25 as opposed to December 1st, December 2nd, December 3rd. So if you
Mhm.
don't remember to take a photo, steal one from another day or take a photo the day after. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
if you can. It's up to
Yeah, and
someone.
now people are starting to decorate November 1st,
Yeah.
right? So how does that fit in your December daily when you actually started in November?
Well, and that's why I said don't be literal. Take the
Yeah.
photos from November and include them in your December daily. But that's also the other part is like December daily doesn't always have to be just Christmas. In my mind, I feel like everything has to be Christmas themed or Christmas related, but it really doesn't have to be. It could be any story that happened on that day. But it is a mind game that these types of projects kind of suck you into. And I'm not, and Ali Edwards doesn't say that that's what that has to be, but in our brains, those of us that are very literal turn it into this thing that really doesn't have to be that way.
Mhm. And I will say it prepares you for the season too.
Right.
Like the good thing about the December daily and those kinds of projects is it kind of gets you pumped up, ready to go for Christmas and really being there present in the moment, enjoying like the Christmas lights, going down to hunt a tree. It almost forces you to go do those things, even though you really want to be lazy.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you on that one. And that's actually why I started doing it, even though I sometimes struggle with what I call content, is because it just made me want to go out and do some of these things that I probably would have skipped over otherwise. So they definitely have their benefits. That would be one of my whys, is just to encourage me to get out and enjoy the holiday season. But also from a why perspective, like, if someone were to ask me, like, why would you do these if they're so difficult, or if you're having such a hard time with them? In many ways, I feel that creatively they're very freeing, meaning I will do things in these projects that I probably wouldn't do in a standard, like, regular everyday layout. They tend to be more interactive. I tend to add a lot of, flip outs, I'll do, I don't know, like pop outs,
Vellum.
or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, I don't know. What about you? Like, why would you feel the need to create a project like this?
Mine is more of let's get ready for the season. I don't want my kid to miss out on any of the December things, and so I try to make it a point to go see lights. That's like my favorite thing, is going to see lights. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
But there's so many opportunities. Like if we were to go drive from here to Wisconsin, there's a spot that I've always wanted to go to in Dubuque that has like a Christmas maze of lights. I've always wanted to do that. I have yet to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, one time in December when it's not crazy busy at work, maybe we'll actually have the opportunity to do that.
It does definitely encourage you, for sure. What's nice about projects like this, and I'm not just talking December daily, but just any type of project, is that it has a start and a finish to it. And so you can really get a sense of accomplishment, that feeling that, oh, I've done this, like it's finished, it's good. I don't know. I get a lot of satisfaction from that, which I don't get in my normal scrapbooking, because it just feels like it goes on and on and on and on. Like there's never an end, which is good. I'm not complaining, but you don't get that, you don't get that completion satisfaction.
Hmm. Yep, I totally understand that. And same with like organizing too, right? You're never done. It's never
Yeah.
going to be completed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's not very much in our world. Like you're always going to be shopping, you're always going to be organizing, you're always going to be scrapbooking, where you
Yeah.
get that done feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course the not so positive side of why people would do this is, and I'm just as guilty, is the fear of missing out, right?
Hmm.
Because it's such a hot topic, and like you see it everywhere, there is this pressure to do it. Not, it's internal, right? Like it's only you
Hmm.
that's doing it, but that you want to have something like this cool project that Allie's sharing, or other people are sharing.
And a lot of people like Etsy shop owners and Allie Edwards do these like massive kits that have all of these cool projects, and then they do videos with those projects. It is truly FOMO.
So I guess for our viewers, like, do you fall into this category of people that complete these projects just because you're afraid of missing out, or do you, like, tell us why you do these special projects? Because we want to know, and we hope they're positive, not with any negative, that you're not feeling pressured to do it, or if you do feel pressured, that you feel comfortable enough to just let it go. I'm struggling this year. I have not been in a photo taking year, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do December daily. So this year, but like I said, I've done it for 7 years. Mostly what I have to do is I have to come up with a concept that's going to make it exciting for me again, that works within the frame that I'm in, if that makes sense. So I've been
Mhm.
contemplating doing 12 days of Christmas. So that's what I would call it. So it's only
Okay.
12 stories versus 25. So that cuts down significantly. And I'm also thinking to do it for the traditional 12 days of Christmas period. So rather than the lead up to Christmas, it actually starts on Christmas and goes for 12 days. So it's a different time period. It's where everything's already set up. How about taking everything down, putting everything away? You've got New Year's in there. What other festivities still carry forward? Because quite often you have a lot of Christmas light displays, shows, and stuff that extend beyond Christmas. So I'm thinking of doing that. Just cut it down a little bit, switch it up.
That and it gives you more time.
Yeah.
to contemplate on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because we are coming up on December quitting pretty quickly here, which is crazy. Oh my gosh. This
Yeah.
is the second year that we've been doing these conversations.
I
It's
know that is
crazy.
crazy. That is crazy for sure. So what about you? Are you in, you said you weren't in the mood for October. Are you going to do something for December?
I haven't decided yet. Echo Park kept doing their, warehouse sales. So I definitely have my 6x8 binder ready. But they're so cheap. I'm like, I could also use those binders for organizing.
You've got a lot going on in your life as well, so
Yes. As
but
you
it
can
also
see, my shelves are bare, which means I'm in the process of moving my craft room. Do I really think that it's going to be ready by December? I'm hoping.
but change is also fun to document, right? I say plus it'll be your last Christmas right before your new little baby comes.
That's true. And so it'll definitely be focused on my son. So it'll be interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm gonna do. Now that we're talking about it, I kind of want to start. I also have a ton of Christmas supplies that I need to use, and I want to buy more Christmas supplies. And the only way that I'm allowing myself to buy more is if I use my old.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Now, I will say that is definitely a pro in my book for December Daily, because I had someone say this to me the other day, and they're like, I have so much Christmas stuff for one day out of the year, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
really, if you think about it, it is very disproportional.
Oh my gosh, it's so
Right?
disproportional. Like the companies come out, I feel like with 6 collections just for Christmas.
Yeah. So I think that's what's nice about December Daily is it extends the time period where you feel like you can access or use those supplies. But so last year I did a 12 by 12, and I actually ended up doing two albums of 12 by 12.
Wow.
I know. And I say I have no content, right? That's
That's insane. I don't think I don't know. It's hard because I'm used to 12 by 12 and I probably could get it out faster if I did 12 by 12 versus a 6x8 because you
yeah. Yeah.
have to rethink the dimensions and how it's going to look.
Yeah. So the problem why it extended so much was because I did a lot of add-in stuff. So each day is only like a 12 by 12 layout. That's it. I mean, there's the
Mhm.
odd one that's a 2-page spread, but not very many. But I added all these inserts because I went advent calendar crazy last year. I think I bought like 5 or 6 advent calendars. And so
Oh my gosh.
I know. You'd think I was a child or something. But anyways, so I incorporated all of that into the album, and it just added a lot of bulk. And I love it, but they are quite big. So it'll be interesting because if I do the 12 days of Christmas, I have one of those We Are Memory 4x4 albums. It's like a
Mm.
gold lame cover on it. I don't know that I would use it for anything else but Christmas. And so 12 days makes sense, right? Because then I can fit it into this small album. But I literally only have one album, which means I can't do any dimension or any like crazy like I normally do, because where would I put the rest of it? So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, you gave me an idea of doing like those extra pockets that look like advent calendar pockets, putting a number on it and covering a photo. You gave me an idea, so we
Yeah,
might be doing December daily this year.
there you go. So we were also talking about just challenges in general. And you are a challenge queen, right? You
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of
Yes.
challenges.
Although it's been like 8 months or so since I've done a challenge, but I love my challenges. um, that could be as simple as, just a sketch challenge from a cherry on top. It could be like Bash Bowl, which is in February usually for Bash or Scrapbook Stash, and that's like a whole month long event. I love my challenges. Good.
I love the idea of challenges. I don't like the pressure that comes with challenge, which sounds really stupid, right? So, like for instance, a layout a day. I can tell you right now, I will never do a layout a day. That's just not the way I operate. Now, could I do 30 to 31 layouts in a month? Absolutely. But to make it a layout a day, not going to happen, right? And I know, again, I'm being too literal. Although I think for some of those challenges, you have to post daily to qualify for
Mhm.
whatever. But I'm just saying, like, you could just say, instead of a layout of days, just make it a 30-day, a 30 layout challenge per month or whatever. And I know you could do that, but again, you get sucked into that literal interpretation of the challenge. But there's no way I can do it. Like, there's literally no way. I just don't have that kind of, I don't work in that kind of way. Like, how do I call it? Like, when I'm on, I'm on, and when I'm off, I'm off. Like, does that make sense? So some of those challenges, I don't know. What's another one that's been out there that I love the idea of, but I just know I'm never going to do the 100-day challenge, I think, where you do 100.
No, I couldn't do that one. That's too much.
Yeah.
And that's like stage of life too, right? Like you're in a stage of your life where you travel at least once a month, maybe even twice a month, and it's a whole weekend. And so I don't think you could bring your scrapbook stuff with you. Like,
well, and it's hard. Like, it's just difficult. Like, even when I do travel for work, the evenings are often still, they're not work, but you're with work people, right? So, dinners end up being 3 hours, or, you know what I mean? Plus, you still got work. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think for me, again, with a challenge is I always will need to adapt it to what works for me. And I think that's the main takeaway, right? Like, take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And that goes with everything. People talk about scrapbooking rules or things that you have to do. No, there's no rules. There's no police. Nobody's going to come after you. Modify it and make it work for what works for you. And so if I'm going to do a layout a day, I'm going to modify it to 30 days a month or 30 layouts a month, because that just works.
Now, have you done any of those trackers, where you try to fill in all the boxes for 100 layouts or whatever? It doesn't necessarily have to be a timeline, but it's a tracker to see what your progress is for the year.
Right. So I love the idea of that. Now, this is going to overlap with the whole, like, planner girl failure thing. A lot of those trackers and stuff, I start off great and then I peter out. Do you know what I mean? So for the first month, I'm tracking really good. Then the second month, it's hit and miss. And then the third month, I go, this is crap. Why am I doing this? And then I stop. You know what I mean? So I haven't quite figured out how to make that work. But I love the idea of it, right? Like, it's the same. I love the idea of a planner. I just can't make it work for whatever reason. I'm a failure.
Oh, you're not a failure. It's just, sometimes it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And that's okay. I've done a couple of them, and I'm just kind of the same way. I just kind of give up. But it was more of geared towards like a spending freeze. And it was at a point in my life where I wasn't ready for a spending freeze, but I was forcing myself to do it.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like another challenge, right? Is you really should not be spending this money, but you really want to spend this money. And like Janet from RTS did a whole year-long spending freeze, but she also got gift cards. And so she was able to still satisfy getting new supplies with gift cards.
Yeah.
So, but I'm in a point in my life where I'm moving my craft room and I don't really want to move more than I have to. It is what it is.
Well, I'm coming up. I've been on a little bit of a spending kick. So I'm coming up to another spending freeze here. Oh, ironically, it's probably going to align with the new year again. Isn't that funny how that stuff happens?
Yes. Well, you also have to think Black Friday's coming up, and usually there's some decent-ish sales. I feel like the last couple years, the Black Friday sales haven't been awesome like they were back in 3 years ago.
Right. I'm at the point where it's like, Melanie, you can't even manage what you have, like, organizationally. It's like, stop bringing more stuff in. It's funny. I was just talking to friends out this last night, and they're all, quite a few of them are very good on the organization and setting boundaries. And like, if this bin is full, you have to get rid of stuff. I'm not that person, right? Like, I'm just not. And I wish in some ways I was more like that, because then I could get back into it. But on the other hand, they find it very debilitating when they don't control that, whereas I can still function. So I guess it all works out in the long run. But anyways.
Yes. What other challenges or special projects do you do?
Yeah, so one of my biggest, I'm calling it a challenge because it has been motivating for me, is I actually am in a collaboration, Stash Your Stash, and every month we pick something in our, well, actually we don't. The organizer picks an item in our craft spaces to use, to focus on for that month. And that has been really good. It's open enough that I don't feel too confined or restricted and don't have too much pressure on, but it still gets me thinking about stuff that I probably should use, or at least make an attempt to use. Yeah, so I really do
Now,
like that one.
with that one, are you still using your SCT sampler kits, or are you done with them yet?
So that one's actually the bash, no, what is it? Blitz Your Kits. That's the Blitz Your Kits one. And I still have still a few more to go. But that one is only every other month. So it's only 6 kits in a year, which I was probably behind by a couple of years. So, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
As far as like collaborations go, I was a part of Scraps to Embellishments for a
Okay.
while, where you have a theme for that month and you have to pick a Saturday that correlates with that theme and then make a embellishment out of it. I did a couple videos. I really probably should be taken off that list because I haven't had the
Yeah.
time to
Right.
continue.
So, I mean, that is something that YouTube in itself is like a challenge for me, right? Because knowing I need to put out content encourages me to get stuff done.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I have learned that I don't like too much pressure. If I feel
Mhm.
too much pressure to do something, it actually just makes me not want to do it. So
Mhm.
anyways, so we'd love to hear from you all what you're up to. What challenges are your favorite? How do you make challenges or special projects work for you? What's your mind frame when you go into them? And I think that's it for this month. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I think when this goes up, it's going to be past. So I hope you had a great one. And let's have a wonderful holiday season here in December. And we will be back next month to wrap up the year. Thanks, everyone, and happy crafting.